Hi! Hello, ladies, gents, and grizzled warriors of the Eternal Caves. If you're a Spelunky veteran booting up Spelunky 2 for the first time, you'll have one question burning in your head. What has changed? To keep this as spoiler-free as possible, I'm only talking about core gameplay issues like movement, basic attack, bombs, physics, and such. And even then, if it only happens outside the starting caves or the jungle, I'm not even talking about it. And I'm going to assume you already know about heavily advertised features like fluid dynamics or background caves. Many of the differences that follow are subtle, and it's those subtle differences that would get you killed over and over and over. Let's get started! Movement is mostly unchanged. It may feel a little off at first, and I mostly blame the smoother animations for that, but the controls are identical, and with just a few minutes of getting used to it, they're every bit as excellent as before. As far as I'm concerned, Spelunky HD was the gold standard of platforming controls, and Spelunky 2 carries that torch without breaking a single stride. There are differences though. You run up and down ladders faster, handy to quickly leave your crime scenes, although jumping through ladders is still faster than that, so maybe not so useful. The stupid jump is reportedly still possible, but way harder to pull off because I can't do it. I've literally tried over 100 times in a row. I can't do it. I can't. Come on. Come on. Come on, get over it. Come on. Come on, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Do it. Ah! Oh, there you go. And at first I thought you could drop one extra tile without taking damage, but I'm certain this is just a matter of perception because the tiles seem so much bigger now. What is different is this amazing animation when you drop too far. Whee! The big ticket item is the new fluid physics that make water and lava flow instead of disappear. But the other big difference is that every object can now interact with one another. This will come up constantly as you play, with items bumping together and the way bombs will nudge stuff in inconvenient ways when you lay them down. Projectiles like shotgun pellets are included in this, so you can use your shots to disturb the idol or toss that bomb down the shaft and into a shopkeeper's mouth. Not taking damage is a lot harder from the get-go. Remember the bat? Remember when you started playing Spelunky and how the bat would get you so often? Oh man, those bats, so damn tricky, right? How quaint it will seem once you meet moles and horned lizards. How hilarious our past struggle with HD Jungle as we crawl through spirit-infested thorn hallways and dastardly hidden bear traps. This is somewhat balanced with health being easier to come by. On top of saving Vigo, Trepanator, or Mage's Stupid III, you can now roast turkeys for a point of health. You can also roast shopkeepers as a matter of principle. It helps to neatly pile them up into a bonfire, and once cooked long enough, the flesh will peel off the bones nicely. Feast upon their entrails and rejoice in a job well done. Overall, I think it's fair to say Spelunky 2 is a more difficult game than its predecessor. And that's good, you know, that's a consistent thing I've heard over the years. Spelunky is just not hard enough. Speaking of difficulty, the ghost returns in Spelunky 2, and it's been buffed into such a threat that I'm comfortable saying ghosting as we know it is dead. Like, don't get me wrong, if you're ballsy enough, you'll make diamonds here and there when you have the chance, especially for the new and improved vaults. But gone are the days of leading the ghost around on every single level for 3 hours in the daily challenge. At least for all but the most flawless and greediest of spelunkers. I'm sure the elite at the top will eventually get there, but I don't think I ever will. Why, you ask? Well, it's faster, for one, and now it moves directly to warrior at all times, but neither of those is the reason. This is the reason. Up to 4 ghosts will chase you if you survive long enough, each with its own movement pattern. On top of that, now there's a haunted jar in most levels. If you break it, the ghost comes. If a random arrow trap breaks it, if anything at all breaks it, the ghost comes. And then it's time to run. I take full responsibility for all the whining I did about having to wait for the ghost and how slowly it would move in Spelunky HD. Lord, you listened, and now we despair. At least it shows up at the 3-minute mark now instead of 2 minutes 30. You'll be ever so grateful for those extra 30 seconds. Hired Hand AI has been improved just enough to lure you into a full sense of security. They'll genuinely help you for a while until they unexpectedly and suddenly get you killed. They beautifully ride the line between being useful and psychotic. The whip's duration is longer in the back, shorter in the front. The shorter duration will be a very consistent source of pain until you get used to it. The hitbox has been reworked as well. Here's a rough approximation. Notice how much bigger it is in the back and above, that it no longer extends down to your feet. Spiders will be so very safe from you while chewing on your ankles, and it also no longer hits something that is directly under your character. And a much smaller change, you can no longer use the backwards whip to clear 2 tile gaps. Bonk your head instead. And if you whip while hanging from a ledge, you'll jump clear off the ledge while whipping. Very useful for something. Your bomb's explosion radius has been increased by about half a tile. It's very notable. You no longer need to pick them up and put them down to maximize their efficacy in corners. And in fact, doing this seems to simply nudge them out of position. It's worse than useless. It's really taken me a while to untrain myself from doing this. You no longer place sticky bombs directly below you, but a bit to the front. This is a huge deal that will blow your mind every time that you place down a bomb. Lastly, doing this no longer drops the bomb straight down, much to my explosive surprise. In fact, as of the time of this recording, I haven't found a good way of dropping jizzy bombs down a gullet.
Phrasing?
There are a few reworked mechanics for returning items that will catch you off guard. Gliding items like the cape are not toggles anymore, they'll just work as long as you hold down the button. Although the hover pack you may have seen in the trailers is indeed a toggle. No, I don't know why either. The climbing gloves will now only stick for as long as you hold the directional button toward the wall. The exchange will absolutely destroy you until you get used to it, and then you'll love it with every ounce of your rotten heart. Unless you're this person right here. The shotgun recoil will now knock you off ladders and vines. Pretty relevant when jumping through spike pits or shooting next to a lava pool. It's probably going to kill me for the next year or so as I get used to it. Also, shotgun pellets no longer trigger arrow traps, which, by the way, now carries sturdier arrows that pierce through 1 HP enemies without breaking. The jar full of jizz works exactly the same, but it's worth mentioning giant spiders don't spawn early on anymore, or at all, depending on your path. So it's more valuable than ever if you find it in a shop. Golden bugs are worth only $1,000 now instead of $5,000. Diamonds have been buffed to scale up as you go instead of always being worth $5,000. And a downright lovely addition. Bomb bags, bomb boxes, and backpacks explode when you shoot them, so make sure to set them neatly aside before you purchase them with violence. Bomb boxes can take a couple shots before they explode. Look at this cool melting sprite. Shopkeepers. The real boss of Spelunky HD. I wouldn't call it an overhaul, but their behavior has been significantly altered. In general, they're slower, less predictable, and more resourceful. They can climb ladders now, which enables them to often find a path to wherever you are, but also makes them more vulnerable because it keeps them relatively motionless while climbing. Their punches no longer send you flying across the world, which means that if they catch you, you're even less likely to survive, because they'll keep you real close as they fist you until you can't take it anymore. And perhaps most importantly, none of the tried and true methods of initiating negotiations work anymore. It's as if they've been specifically countered by a nefarious designer trying to throw you off. How curious. But never fear, there's a new way to get it done, and it's even easier than before. Just You can also lure them to the edge of the shop and deliver a delicious bomb meal straight out of the oven, but it's a difficult recipe to get just right. Do bear in mind that if you simply steal without murdering them, the shopkeepers will now forgive you once you leave 2 levels in a row without killing them, making murder-free robbery a strategy worth considering. Pussy? Overall, I don't hesitate to say they've been slightly nerfed from their demonic Spelunky HD incarnation. Their slower speed and ladder climbing often makes them easy pickings. This, combined with items being more useful than ever and their shotgun trivializing so many of the enemy threats, leads me to recommend even more embracing a life of crime. Especially if you're going for score, the coins they drop add up to quite a lot. And don't you feel bad for even a second. They may cheerfully greet you, and no longer pimp out damsels. But they can't fool me. Behold! They still keep slaves under lock and key, sometimes not even for sale. They're just rotting in a cell. Who knows the horrors they've survived? Shopkeepers are scum and deserve everything that's coming to them. These are all the things that I have learned so far, so I'm sure there's a whole bunch I didn't mention. I did purposely omit a few because they were too spoiler dependent. Feel free to point out more differences and I'll compile them in the pinned comment at the top if I believe they qualify as a non-spoiler core gameplay experience. Now go out and explore the moon caves. Spelunky 2 is packed with awesome secrets I can't wait to unravel. Simply remember the #1 rule of the wary spelunker. Ruffy D Sloth sucks!